It is no secret that I am a former liberal who, in early 2017, walked away from the Democratic Party, and right along with them, the liberal media. That term, liberal media, was one that, in my previous allegiance to the left, made me bristle. I thought, there's no such thing as liberal media. There's right-wing propaganda, and then there's the truthful media, reliable sources like CNN, MSNBC, the Huffington Post, the Washington Post, the New York Times, BuzzFeed, Vice. The fact of the matter is, the media is overwhelmingly liberal. As a gay man, I placed my trust in these media entities. I believe that I could rely on them for truth, and I believe these media outlets displayed a genuine compassion for marginalized minorities in America. The truthful media seem to be the only news sources acknowledging the purportedly prevalent existence of racism, homophobia, xenophobia, transphobia, sexism, and bigotry commonly experienced by minority classes in this country. Never in my life did it occur to me to question the ethics or motivations of the liberal media. To me, they were just the good guys. In 2016, I voted for Hillary Clinton. When Trump won the election, I was confused and outraged. How could half the country support someone so unfit, so unsound, and so morally objectionable? In January of 2017, I bitterly proclaimed on social media I would never be able to understand how anyone could vote for a man who stood before a cheering crowd and mocked a reporter's disability. And that's when somebody sent me this.
I mentioned the word regulated. What do you think about ISIS? Oh, ISIS is very dumb. They said, Senator Cruz, what do you think of waterboarding? I don't want to talk about it. You know, he didn't want to talk about waterboarding. Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
Doing a comical imitation of somebody getting flustered after being called out for being dishonest and mocking someone's disability is a very important distinction. To intentionally mislead the public into believing something terrible and sinister took place, something that strikes a blow straight into the heart of what we consider to be common civility and the basic standards of decency, is reprehensible. To purposely invoke racism, homophobia, bigotry, and falsely assign these emotionally charged accusations to people in situations where they do not belong, simply to control your thinking, is criminal. And it turns out, they do it all the time. The media is keenly aware of a simple premise. If they can control how you feel, they can control how you think. Time magazine put out an issue with a little girl on the cover who appeared to be separated from her mother in an effort to take advantage of your kind hearts and your desire to protect children. Except this girl was never separated from her mother. Donald Trump was asked a question about MS-13 gang members. MS-13, a gang whose motto is rape, control, kill, to which he called them animals. The entire media then removed the question and the context to report that Donald Trump called all immigrants animals. They lied to you about Donald Trump. They lied about Brett Kavanaugh. They lied about children in cages. Hell, they even lied about walkaway. They were wrong about the election outcome. They were wrong about the Covington kids. They were wrong about Jussie Smollett. And yes, oh yes, they were wrong about Russian collusion. They report so much bias toward 50% of Americans and stoke racial hatred, with emphasis on stories that turn out to be hoaxes. They consistently lie about our fellow Americans in order to get us to hate each other. And why? Power and control. It starts to make sense why the fake news has been labeled the enemy of the people. If it's interference in the election that you're concerned about, you don't need to go all the way to Russia. There is nobody more than our own liberal media who attempts to divide Americans by race and extreme ideology, or who is conducting information warfare against the United States. The election of this president has only caused the media to double down on their manipulative tactics, the identity politics, the race baiting, the fear-mongering, the intentional injection of paranoia about your own fellow Americans. I know many of you are starting to see it, and I know how disturbing this realization can be. Know that you are not alone. Join us. Walk away.
I know Donald Trump, and I know he's not a racist by any stretch of the imagination.
His New York values, I think, underlie a real person who is probably among the least racist politicians on the national scene.
Come up here, come here. You look so smart, good. Do you mind if I do a job interview right now? We need good people. How are you? So what's your experience in front of the world?
Well, I design, I do wreaths, I do all types of decoration.
And you like this building?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. There's the man. Stand right over here.
Oh my God. Thank you.
If we can make a good deal in the salary, she's going to probably have a job, okay? All right, good. Have a good time. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you. Good. So nice. Really nice.
Hundreds of children skated on a New York rink today. That's because of the kind of happy ending only children are supposed to believe in. In desperation, the city turned the project over to this man, flamboyant real estate tycoon Donald Trump. He agreed to take the job for no profit. He not only finished it under budget, he finished it in 3.5 months.
I called him about a large Christian ministry in another state that needed some help. I learned within a day or two he had donated $100,000 of his own money. He learned about Clyde Frazier Jr., who ran the Harlem Hoops tournament in the inner city and was killed in the 9/11 attacks, and he searched down the family and he donated the money to keep that tournament going. Example after example like that of just generosity that never made it into the public's eye. His limousine broke down one time. A couple stopped and helped him. He paid off their mortgage a few days later.
Barbara Russ is a former VP for Trump who oversaw construction of his crown jewel on Manhattan's swanky Fifth Avenue, Trump Tower.
If Donald is sexist, then a lot of people are sexist.
I am proud of him. I am proud of my African American heritage. And I am proud to stand before you tonight and support Donald Trump, not just in spite of the color of my skin, but in fact because of the color of my skin.